Chapter 5. Why are we sick? Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease and infirmity. Quoted by the World Health Organization. We spend more money on healthcare than ever before. We take more drugs than ever before, yet we are sicker than ever before. More people are getting sick than ever before in history, as I mentioned in the beginning of this book. There are no such things as medical facts. Everything is simply an opinion based on the information we have at the current time. Additionally, all medical facts that are presented are those opinions which make the most profits. If information about the prevention, cure, or diagnosis of disease was found to have an adverse effect on public traded companies' profits, primarily the pharmaceutical industry and the medical industry, then that medical fact will not be presented at all. It will be debunked and it will be suppressed. There is an underground movement which includes hundreds of thousands of healthcare practitioners who treat patients every day and see people get healed every single day. These healthcare practitioners do not use drugs or surgery. They use all natural methods. The individual patients who are cured know that these all natural treatments work. There are no complaints lodged with any government agencies, yet the FDA and other government agencies are on a mission to stamp out and wipe out all these natural healthcare practitioners. Why? Because they cut into the profits of the drug companies. Over the years, the pharmaceutical industry has come up with different theories about why people get sick. First, it was bacteria and germs. The super wonder drug of the day was antibiotics, which are touted as a method that would eliminate disease forever and cure all illness, sickness, and disease. The theory was that all disease was caused by germs, primarily bacteria. This theory has proved to be wrong. Stronger and stronger antibiotics are continually developed, yet people continue to get sick and sicker and sicker. More people get more diseases than ever before. The next theory was that viruses were the cause of all illness and disease. Unfortunately, few people know that antibiotics have no effects on viruses. The doctors continually prescribe antibiotics at the drop of a hat. People have been brainwashed into thinking that antibiotics are needed when they feel sick, and they go to their doctors and demand antibiotics. The doctors, who unfortunately is in a business and understands his patients is really a customer, has to make the customer happy and prescribe the antibiotics. If the doctor does not, the patient, aka the customer, will simply find another doctor who will prescribe an antibiotic. The Associated Press reported that overuse of broad-spectrum antibiotics for minor infection poses a serious health threat. The government estimates that half of the 100 million antibiotic prescriptions written each year are totally unnecessary. Still, people continue to get more disease, more sickness, and more illness. The current theory of the day is all sickness, disease, and illness are caused by genetic defects. Of course, the only answer is drugs. Drugs are now being researched and looked at to handle these genetic defects. The new method of making billions of dollars in profit is to come up with a genetic defect for every problem a person has. We hear it every day. Oh, you're fat because you have a genetic defect. And a drug is being worked on that can solve that genetic defect and make you thin. Diabetes is nothing more than genetics. So we'll work on a drug that will correct that genetic disposition and solve the problem. Keep in mind that the drug companies really do not want to cure the disease as they claim. If they came up with the cure, they would be out of business. Think of herpes. Herpes is a virus. We hear ads on TV every day that say there's no cure for herpes. Therefore, in order to suppress the symptoms, take our beautiful, wonderful drug every day for the rest of your life. Imagine what would happen if the publicly traded companies and their stock price, if they announce there is a cure for herpes. Simply take this herb for 30 days and you will never have a herpetic breakout ever again. By the way, this herb is not patented and it only costs $3. That company will lose billions of dollars in profits and valuation. its stock price will plummet. Therefore, there is no incentive to cure herpes. The incentive is to keep you brainwashed into believing there is no cure for herpes, and the only solution to the symptoms is drugs. Remember, the FDA and the drug companies work hand in hand. If I happen to know a cure for herpes, I cannot say so. Because if I say so, I'm making a medical claim, and according to the FDA, I am now breaking the law. Even if what I am saying is true, I am still breaking the law. The FDA will then come in with their federal agents and their guns drawn, arrest me, throw me in jail, confiscate any papers I have and any of the harmless herbs, suppress the information, and outlaw it because there is no credible scientific evidence. They will then put out the press release and statements of fact that I am a charlatan selling snake oil and have no scientific evidence to substantiate that what I am saying is true. Unfortunately, that's how the system. In the book, I will tell you how we are going to change the system by blowing the whistle on the pharmaceutical industry, the FDA and the FTC, the crooked charities, the foundations, the associations, the politicians. I'm going to name and expose the individual people whose identities have been kept secret up until now. Isn't it strange that you are never informed of the identity of the directors of major shareholders in these organizations? These individuals hide behind corporations, trusts, and a maze of legal structures so that their true identities remain hidden. If the money trail were followed, it would shock you to find that it leads to a small group of billionaires from around the world that are truly pulling the strings through class action lawsuits and a grassroots campaign. We will get the truth out about healthcare. The trends will reverse. Drugs use will go down and people will stop getting sick. This is my mission. I am spending my fortune to help make this come to pass. I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for the society in general. I'm putting virtually everything I have emotionally, mentally, and financially into the mission of changing the system. So why do you get sick? Is it germs? Is it bacteria? Is it viruses? Is it genetics? Well, let's think about it. You don't catch cancer, your body develops cancer. You don't catch diabetes, your body develops diabetes. You don't catch obesity, your body becomes fat and obese. You don't catch heartburn or acid reflux, as it is called today, it's developed. You don't catch headaches. You don't catch fibromyalgia. You don't catch back pain. You don't catch arthritis. You don't catch PMS, and you don't catch impotence. These are all medical conditions that are developed in the body. You don't catch them, it's not a germ. It's not a virus. It's not a bacteria. The majority of illness is, in fact, self-inflicted. Drugs are not the answer. You don't have a headache because you have an aspirin deficiency. The question is, why do human beings have so much illness? First of all, you have to realize that being sick is not normal, and it is not the natural state of the body. Your body is not supposed to get sick. Think about this startling fact. Animals in the wild never get heart attacks. Let me say that again. Animals in the wild never get heart attacks. Why do humans? Animals in the wild don't get cancer. Animals in the wild virtually never get sick. Animals virtually never get sick, except, of course, when they are in captivity. When animals are under human care and get vaccines, injections, drugs, and human processed food, animals succumb to many of the diseases that humans are riddled with. Think about this. Animals do not exercise and have no obesity or weight problems. Animals don't go to the doctors and live to be 10 to 20 times their maturity age. Chimpanzees and gorillas are great examples. They don't lose their teeth. They don't have arthritis. They don't have diabetes. They don't need insulin shots. They don't have cancer. They don't have asthma. They don't have allergies. They are not constipated. They don't have insomnia, and they live to be an equivalent of about 180 years old. Interestingly enough, they go through their entire lives without taking any prescription or non-prescription drugs. So is there a way that a human being can do some very simple and easy things that keeps us disease-free, illness-free, and full of life, energy, and vitality? The answer is absolutely yes. Let's go back to the cause of all disease and the reason why we are getting sick. Think about the fact that there are cultures around the world where people have never had cancer or heart disease or acid reflux disease or prostate problems, etc. Yet, when these people start living a Western lifestyle, amazing things begin to happen to their health. They get fat. They start getting sick. They begin to develop all of the common diseases we hear about today. The question is, why do human beings living a Western lifestyle have more sickness and disease than any other human being around the globe? The answer is, no one knows. The medical industry presents information as if they do know. They claim they have scientific evidence proving the truth of their theories. The fact is, what the medical industry has are only theories. When you investigate what is being presented as fact, you find that there are actually only theories that are nothing more than the opinion of individual people. Einstein's theory of relativity is presented as fact, but people forget it's called the theory of relativity and not the fact of relativity. The term scientific evidence is one of the greatest deceptions of all time. First, this scientific evidence is paid for and manufactured by the corporations that it will benefit. Rarely does an independent, unbiased third party produce any of the scientific evidence. If the scientific evidence is so accurate, why are the conclusions and the results constantly being disproved when new research is produced? You are led to believe that scientific evidence proves that something is true. This is a false assumption. Every day we hear new research shows old research to be false. The bottom line is you will hear the term scientifically proven used when the medical community claims they know the cause of disease. You will hear medical doctors make statements of fact when in reality they are only opinions. You're being misled and you're being lied to. You're being deceived. The truth is nobody knows why people are getting so sick. We can only guess and come up with our own theories and conclusions. So based on personal experience, reading thousands of pages of documents and hearing firsthand accounts of thousands of people and the healthcare practitioners around the world, I've come up with what I believe to be the cause of virtually all sickness and disease in the body. There's only two reasons why people become ill. One, they catch something. This means your body picked up a germ, generally a virus or bacteria. And two, you develop an illness or disease. This means there is some imbalance in the body. Something is not working right, and an illness or disease develops. Common disease in the category include heart disease, cancer, diabetes, acid reflux, arthritis, and etc. Remember, in our search for the ultimate cause of all illness and the ultimate cure for all illness, we must always ask the question, what caused that? With this in mind, let's start with catching something. One may say that the cause of catching a germ is pretty evident. You obviously caught the germ from someone else who had it. This is where medical science stops. They claim that the drug must be developed that bacteria or virus. However, they are asking the wrong questions. The fact is that we are all exposed to bacteria and viruses on a daily basis. If one person in your home or office has the flu, then every single person has been exposed to and caught the flu virus. When anthrax was found in an envelope, not every single person in the building got anthrax. The question is not whether you will pick up the bacteria or virus. The real question is, why do some people succumb to the bacteria and virus and get sick, and other people do not? Take two people, expose them both to the flu virus at the same time. One person comes down with all the symptoms of the flu and becomes very sick. The other person shows no symptoms whatsoever, stays healthy, and does not get the flu. They both got the flu virus. One person succumbed to it and got sick. The other person did not and remained healthy. Throughout your life, You will pick up thousands of bacteria and viruses. That is natural. The real question is to ask is why your body does not do what it is designed to do. Fight off and handle the bacteria or virus. Why did you succumb to the bacteria or virus? The answer, your body is out of balance and your immune system is weak. If your body was in balance, a state called homeostasis, and your immune system was strong, you would never show any symptoms of any other virus or bacteria that you picked up during your lifetime. You would never get sick because of a virus or a bacteria. Then the question becomes, what is causing my body to be out of balance? And what is causing my immune system to be weak? I will give you the answer in a moment. But first, let's go to the second reason people get sick. Remember, you get sick because you either catch something or something develops in the body on its own. You catch something because your body is out of balance and your immune system is weak. And you develop something in the body either because your body is out of balance or toxins is getting into your body and causing a problem to develop. So let's walk through this nice and slow. The reasons you get sick are: 1, you catch something and your body cannot fight it off, therefore you succumb to the germs. 2, your body develops something in the genetically weak areas. In both of the above cases, the causes are the same. A, your immune system is weak. B, toxins are attacking your body. If we keep asking the question, what caused that? We can then conclude that all illness comes from one or a combination of 4 things. 1, you have too many toxins in your body. 2, you have nutritional deficiencies. 3, you are exposed and negatively affected by electromagnetic chaos. And 4, you have trapped mental and emotional stress. These are the only 4 reasons why immune systems could be weak, or why genetically weak areas in the body can break down, thus allowing illness and disease to develop. These 4 things can cause the body to be out of balance. I will address each of these 4 issues. Let's start with toxins. What is toxins? A toxin is a poison. It is a substance that, if taken in large doses, can cause severe illness or death. In relation to toxin, the question is, what is causing toxins to be put in your body? The answer is that we have not been educated to know what these toxins are. And secondly, these toxins are being put in virtually everything we eat without our knowledge. Now here's the big one. The most toxic thing you can put in your body, and the number 1 cause of virtually all illness and disease, is prescription and non-prescription drugs. In my opinion, probably the number 1 reason why people are sick is because the amount of drugs they take. The statistics show very conclusively that the more prescription and non-prescription drugs a person takes, the sicker they are. Why? Because all drugs have negative side effects. Let me say it again. All drugs have negative side effects. If you're taking a drug to suppress one symptom, that drug is causing some other major problems to start developing in your body. Even if you stop taking that drug, the wheels have been set into motion. And in a few weeks or a few months, boom, you have some more symptoms caused by the first drug you took a few months ago. You go to your doctor and he gives you another drug to suppress these new symptoms. This new drug had negative side effects. And after you start taking it, the wheels have already been put in motion. And voila, you have new symptoms, which are in fact caused by the drug you were just taking. You go to the doctor and he gives you another drug. Drugs cause medical problems. Drugs only suppress symptoms. They do not treat the cause. It's a great business for the drug companies. If they get you taking one drug, man, they got you. Because that drug is not only going to suppress the symptoms, probably, it is also going to cause you to have another symptoms in a very short period of time, for which you will be prescribed another drug. Once they get you to take one drug to suppress a symptom, keeping in mind that it is not addressing the cause anyway, the likelihood of you taking another drug and then another drug and then another drug keeps going up and up and up. The more drugs you take, the sicker you get, simply because drugs are major poisons. Drugs are major toxins. Someone says drugs can't really be poison, can they? Then why don't you take 30 of them right now and see what happens? You'll probably die. If you eat 30 apples, you're not going to die. You may feel full, but you're not going to die. Think about it. Now, I love it when somebody says, well, it's in small amounts, referring to the dosage. What if I put the same amount of my urine in your food? Would you eat it? Of course not. This relates to the non-prescription over-the-counter drugs as well. Let me be very clear. All non-prescription over-the-counter drugs and all prescription drugs cause illness and disease. The scary thing is that the drug companies and the FDA actually know it. The drug companies know that all non-prescription and prescription drugs make you sicker. Yes, they may temporarily suppress the symptoms you are experiencing, but in a very short period of time, they will cause you to become sicker. A good example of this is Vioxx. Vioxx is a pain medication. It was an outrageously expensive drug that reduced pain no better than the over-counter drug. The drug company that sold Vioxx made billions in profits. Whistleblowers now say that both the FDA and the drug manufacturer of Vioxx knew that this drug would cause over 100,000 people to die. Whistleblowers say that the decision was made to let people die because the potential huge profits that could be made. In my opinion, this happens all the time. Over-the-counter drugs are some of the biggest culprits. Many of these drugs were approved by the FDA 20, 30, 40 years ago. The FDA virtually approves everything back then. The problem is, once a drug is approved by the FDA, whether it's a prescription drug or non-prescription drug, there is virtually no follow-up research or testing to verify the long-term effectiveness of the drug and the long-term safety. We are seeing now that over-the-counter drugs that we have been sold for 30 years are being looked at by some independent organizations and are being shown to be incredibly dangerous and ineffective. These are drugs that were approved by the FDA and touted as safe and effective. Now, 30 years later, the same drugs that people have been taking nonstop are being shown to be totally ineffective and incredibly dangerous. These over-the-counter, everyday drugs are being shown to actually cause illness and disease. Cholesterol-lowering drugs, for example, are a major contributor to illness and disease. All cholesterol-lowering drugs have an adverse side effect on the liver. The liver is the only fat metabolism organ in the body. The liver is needed for proper body functions. When the liver is adversely affected, you are prone to diabetes, acid reflux, constipation, colon cancer, heart disease, asthma, arthritis, and dozens of other illnesses and diseases. Do cholesterol-lowering drugs actually, specifically, and directly cause these illness and disease? No one really knows for sure, but it certainly is obvious to anyone with half a brain and a little bit of logic that these are absolutely 100% contribute to the development of disease in the body. The bottom line is all, I repeat, all over-the-counter, non-prescription drugs and prescription drugs cause illness and disease. This is the big shocker. The industry that is promoting itself as the group dedicated to the prevention and cure of disease is actually the group causing more sickness and disease to occur than ever before. All drugs are chemicals. All drugs have negative side effects. All drugs can cause death. All drugs are poison. An outstanding book which I highly recommend that you read is Overdose: The Case Against the Drug Companies, written by Dr. J. Cohen, MD. Did you know that 250,000 Americans die every year from prescription and non-prescription drugs? That is over 2,000 people every year. That over 2,000 people every year die from taking aspirin? That there are dozens of articles showing how prescription and non-prescription drugs are causing all illness and disease. Drugs are not the answer to preventing and curing disease. They are the cause. Even if drugs do not directly cause a disease, drugs cause the body to go completely out of balance. and they weaken the immune system so that disease become more prevalent. People who get sick the most often are those who have taken the most drugs. Let's back up just for a moment. Our conclusion is that all illness is caused by four things. One being toxins in the body. When you have a lot of toxins in your body goes out of balance and your immune system is weakened. When this occurs, your body cannot fight off any viruses or bacteria that you pick up. Thus, you get sick more often, with more severity and for longer periods of time. You also have an environment that is very likely to produce illness and disease. I pointed out earlier that the number one cause of the high amounts of toxicities in your body is prescription and non-prescription drugs. The amount of sickness and increased severity and increased duration is in direct relation to the increase in prescription and non-prescription drug use. However, illness and disease become complicated issues when you look at the hundreds of variables that are involved. I want to generally address what you should do. And then in the next chapter, I'll give you some specifics depending on the current situation. Keep in mind that I am not a medical doctor. I'm not giving medical advice, and I cannot cure any disease. As a matter of fact, I believe that there is not a single person or substance on the planet that can cure a disease in a traditional medical acceptance sense. The only thing that happens is a healthcare practitioner can do some things using all natural remedies that will help your body heal itself. No one can cure a disease. Only your body can cure or heal itself. I do believe that there are certain things you can do to help your body heal itself better or cure itself of illness, sickness, and disease. I do believe there are certain things that you can do that can temporarily address some of the symptoms, ultimately allowing your body to regain its natural balanced state where illness and disease cannot exist. So let me expand on this point. The too much toxins in your body comes down to this. 1. What goes in your body? 2. What comes out of your body? 3. Exercise. 4. Rest. 5. Thoughts. 6. What you say. So let's go through the list and address some of the common misconceptions and see what we should be doing if you want to virtually eliminate any disease. Maybe some of you reading this book have a disease or know someone who does. Maybe others are concerned about getting a disease and a major interest in doing the steps necessary to prevent that disease or illness or sickness. Keep in mind, the natural state of the human body is vibrant health. If you have any type of discomfort, illness, disease, or sickness, you're out of balance. It is not the natural state that your body was designed for. Your body was designed to be healthy and never get sick. Think about it. The 6 areas listed above have a direct relation to toxicity in the body. It is interesting to note that when you are toxic, your body becomes highly acidic. Your body's pH should be alkaline. When your body pH is acidic, you are susceptible to illness and disease. When your body's pH is alkaline, you virtually can never get sick. Every single person who has cancer has a pH that is too acidic. Let me show you how each of the above 6 areas cause you to become too toxic, thus more acidic, and thus more prone to illness and disease. Let's look at what we put in our bodies. We put things in our bodies through our mouth, our nose, our eyes, our ears, and through our skin. Let's talk about what goes into our mouth. I think Jack LaLanne said it best. Jack LaLanne is an incredible human being. He is in his 90s. He is vibrant, healthy, and strong. He doesn't get sick. He's a dynamic, healthy individual. Jack says, if a man made it, don't eat it. That's basically the bottom line. What you put in your mouth should be as close to as nature intended as possible. If man made it, you shouldn't eat it. Now, if you go out and eat an apple, you may think, this is an apple. Man didn't make it, therefore I can eat it. Well, we have a problem. Virtually all fruits and vegetables are, in today's day and age, man-made. Did you know that virtually all fruits and vegetables have been genetically modified by man? Did you know that virtually all fruits and vegetables have been genetically modified by man to become more disease resistant? You have to understand that the food industry is just the same as the pharmaceutical industry. It's all about the money. The food manufacturer, or for that matter, a farmer, is in business and has to sell more of his product and produce that product at a lower cost to make more money. So what farmers do is say, how can I grow the most apples or the most carrots or the most onions on my field? How can I produce them in the shortest period of time at the lowest cost so I can sell them at the highest possible profit? The answer is mess around with Mother Nature and change these natural fruits and vegetables with some man-made concoction that came out of a laboratory so that they can grow bigger, faster, totally against natural course of things, and are resistant to disease. That way I can make sure I have a full crop and can sell more of the produce and make more money. So through genetic modification, your all-natural carrot is no longer all natural. It is really man-made product. But it gets worse because that farmer has to squeeze in and produce more carrots per acre in order to make more profit. He uses chemical fertilizers and chemical pesticides and herbicides. And he sprays on these natural products like carrots. When you then take that natural piece of fruit or vegetable, it's loaded with toxic chemicals. It also has much less nutritional value than it would have 50 or 60 years ago. It has been said that you would need to eat up to 5 times the amount of food your grandparents did just to receive the same nutritional value. That's why if you're going to eat fruits and vegetables, or any food for that matter, which I highly encourage, of course, they must be organically grown. Grains such as rice and wheat are the same. You need to buy organically grown food. In America, as opposed to many other countries, virtually everything you put in your mouth is toxic or contains toxins. Virtually everything made by man is toxic. This does not mean everything that is natural is not toxic. There are plants that are poisonous and if consumed could kill you. But virtually everything made by man is poison. Today we put more toxins in our body than ever before. Virtually everything that we put in our mouth has pesticides, herbicides, antibiotics, growth hormones, genetically altered material, or chemical food additives. Even when you eat an apple, you are taking in all the deadly chemicals that were used in the growing and harvesting of that apple. All of our fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, and seeds are grown with highly poisonous chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides. Many have been genetically modified, turning them into poisonous material. Even when you consume fresh fruit and vegetables, you are ingesting small amounts of poison. The same condition applies in the meat industry, like farmers and other food producers. The meat industry needs to create a lot of product cheaply and quickly and sell it for as high a profit as possible. To that end, the industry uses growth hormones to speed an animal's growth, contributing to the record level of obesity and early puberty in our children. Antibiotics to keep the animals healthy in unsanitary and inhumane, though economical conditions, feeds the animals unnatural feed diets that not only pump more chemicals into the meat, but also upset the animal system, that they become out of balance and disease and pass those imbalances and diseases along to those who consume the meat. Many meat products are also aged. This means the dead animal's flesh is allowed to rot, permitting deadly bacteria to grow. Remember, if it's not organic, if man has made it, don't eat it. The same holds true in the dairy products. Because of the use of drugs or growth hormones, pasteurization and homogenization, dairy products today are a major health concern unless they are organic, not pasteurized, and not homogenized. There are two main things to consider when looking at dairy products, one of which is pasteurization and the other is homogenization. Pasteurization simply heats the dairy product to a very high temperature to kill any bacteria. The major problem is it also kills living enzymes that are in the milk, making it much harder to digest in the body and thus making the milk a totally unnatural product. But more importantly and more dangerous is the homogenization. Do you remember the milkman? We used to have a milkman come to the house to deliver milk. Why do we have to have a milkman? Why couldn't we just buy our milk in the store? The reason is the milk went bad very quickly. It spoiled within just a few days. The food industry were losing money by not selling milk in the stores. We can't sell milk because it goes bad too quickly. So the industry came up with an incredible solution, a process called homogenization. When the milkman delivered our milk, you may remember that the cream separated from the milk. You had to shake it up before you drank it. The process of homogenization actually spins the milk at a very high rate, breaking down the clusters of molecules within the milk so that you don't have any separation of cream and the milk. Therefore, the milk will not spoil within a few days. It can actually last a few weeks before going bad. Now that the food industry can have milk shipped to them, they can put it on the store shelves and they can sell it. There is no more need for the milkman. The problem is homogenization and pasteurization, and pasteurized milk in all dairy products are unnatural. The clusters of molecules are so small that when you ingest them, they virtually scar your arteries. They clog up your digestive systems, making it very difficult to digest food, which is one of the major causes of acid reflux disease, obesity, allergies, and constipation. And the scarring of the arteries causes the LDL cholesterol to attach itself to the artery, which is one of the major causes of arteriosclerosis, which is one of the major causes of heart disease. The bottom line is pasteurized and homogenized dairy products are unnatural. Raw, 100% organic dairy products are natural. Organic, raw, natural dairy products are natural. Remember, Jack Lane said, if a man made it, don't eat it. When you eat fish, you are only slightly better off. Many kinds of fish are farmed, meaning highly toxic feed and chemicals are used to make the fish grow unnaturally fast to the unnatural large sizes. Other poisonous chemicals are used in the processing of the fish before sale to customers. When you consume this man-made fish, you're also taking in all the poisons and toxins that have been used in its production. Fish in the wild are much better. However, because of the massive dumping of poisonous chemicals into our lakes, rivers, and oceans, many wild fish have been found to have abnormal high levels of toxic chemicals in them as well. When you eat any food that has been produced by large food manufacturers, the fact is that you are 100% guaranteed to be ingesting highly toxic and poisonous man-made chemicals. I know this sounds terrible. I know you're probably wondering, what do I do? How can I eat? The good news is there are some very simple and easy solutions which I will explain in later chapters. I am trying to point out to you here that you are highly toxic, that you are constantly loading your body with toxins, which are one of the leading reasons you develop disease and are susceptible to viruses and bacteria. When I tell people they are toxic, most have a hard time believing that they are. But the fact is, you are toxic right now. An independent study on women's breast milk showed a startling fact. In virtually 100% of the women tested, it was shown that their breast milk contained high percentage of jet rocket fuel. That's right, jet rocket fuel in virtually 100% of the women's breast milk tested. How can this be? Just look up in the sky. When a plane flies overhead, there is a chemtrail. The chemical residents fall down from the sky and we breathe them in. They also infect the rainwater and contaminate our water supplies, which are used in the irrigation of our food. The actual chemical poisons are in the food we eat. Let me give you some other things to consider when it comes to understanding that what we put in our bodies makes us highly toxic and susceptible to disease. Keep in mind, in the next chapter, I will be giving you some very simple solutions to solve the problem and the natural cures. What else do we put in our bodies through our mouth? If it's in a box, if it's in a jar, If it's in a can, it's been processed by the food industry. The food industry, keep in mind, consists of publicly traded corporations that have one objective: to make more money and increase shareholder value. And the way they do that is to sell more food and produce that food at a lower cost. Always remember that it's always about the money. The food industry puts tens of thousands of chemical ingredients into our food, and in many cases, they do not have to list those ingredients on the label. How do they get away with that? Through our lobbyist friends, and by paying off politicians and members of the Food and Drug Administration. It's all about the money. So why is it that bad? The additives being put in the food are unnatural, toxic chemicals, and adversely affect the body. They suppress the immune system, making it more susceptible to disease. They make you age quicker, and they turn your body from a natural alkaline pH state to an acid pH state, which means you can easily be prone to cancer, heart disease, diabetes, allergies, etc., etc., etc. Not only are these chemical additives toxic when they are put into our food, and the processing of the food strips away much of the nutritional value. As I mentioned before, if you were to eat a regular apple, it would have only 1/5 of the nutrition of an apple 50 years ago. But once the food is processed and put in a box or can, you'll have to eat 100 times more to get the same nutritional value. Nutrition is virtually wiped out. So in addition to having the poisons put in your system from the chemicals not even listed on the label, the food you are getting has almost no nutritional value. Plus, these food additives actually block absorptions of nutrients. Not only are you not getting enough nutrients from the food you're eating, but what little nutrients you are getting are being blocked and not absorbed. This means everyone has a nutritional deficiency, causing imbalance and weakened immune system, which makes you both susceptible to the virus and bacteria and causes your body to develop disease and pain. Why are these food additives put in the food anyway? Well, it's very interesting. I was actually at a health spa where there was a gentleman who was a senior executive at a major food processing company, one of the largest producers of canned goods in the world. We were talking about the food additives, and yes, he admitted that there are thousands and thousands of chemical additives put into the food, and many of these additives are not listed on the label at all. I suggested that these food additives were dangerous to a person's health and were one of the reasons why people are so sick today. He assured me that these chemicals were totally safe and that they were in such small amounts that they would have no effect whatsoever on the human body. I then asked him a question. I said that if they are totally safe, if I were to give you a glass of one of these chemicals, would you drink it? He stammered and stuttered and went back and forth a few times. I must have asked him the question 10 times without getting an answer. Finally, he said no. He wouldn't drink it because it could potentially be a problem. He finally admitted that the ingredients were, in fact, toxic, but he repeated that because they were in such small amounts that they had no effect at all on the human body. I then asked him the $1,000,000 question. I said, if you're putting such small amounts in it, and these ingredients have no effect at all on the human body, then they must have no effect at all on the food. So why do you have to put them in the food? Again, he couldn't answer the question. After grilling this man, and he finally admitted that they, in fact, have a major effect. They preserved the food and gave it taste. But I could tell that there was something else that these ingredients did that he wasn't telling me. I then searched through my network of insiders, my network of whistleblowers, and here is what I discovered. The food industry, just like the tobacco industry, is hiding a dirty little secret. The food industry is putting ingredients in the food knowingly and on purpose, because these secret and, in many cases, illegal ingredients make a person hungry, make a person fat, and make them addicted to the food. Now listen and pay attention, because what I'm telling you is one of the biggest news stories of the century. The food industry and industries of publicly traded companies is all about the money. Imagine this conversation actually happening. A junior executive walks into the boardroom and says, "Gentlemen, in order for us to increase shareholder value and the price of our stock, we need to sell more food and produce this food at the lowest possible cost. And I have the solution. There is a certain ingredient that, when mixed together and added to the food, actually makes people hungrier, so that when they buy our product, they actually have to eat more of it. They can't stop eating it. It makes them hungrier. There are also certain chemicals we can put in the food that will actually make a person get fatter, even if they don't eat that much. And the fatter they get, the hungrier they'll get. And they will have to consume more food. And they will have to buy more food. And there are certain ingredients that we can put in the food that gets the people chemically addicted to the food, so that they have to have the food. They can't stop eating it, and if they stop eating it, they will get headaches, become nauseous. They'll be upset, depressed, anxious, until they have some more food. Very similar to the opium or cocaine. Is this crazy? Well, remember Coca-Cola? Coca-Cola was a color sweetened water which had cocaine in it. Coca-Cola was the name because coca referred to the coca plant and cola referred to the cola nut. The cola nut had the caffeine, and the coca or the cocaine got the person physically addicted. It was quietly removed back in the 1920s without much fanfare or media exposure. Right now, as you are reading this, the food industry, like every other industry, has to increase profits, and the only way they can do so is to sell you more food. Why is it that Americans are the fattest people on the planet? Remember, it's all about the money. Oh, there are a couple of other scary things as well. Many of the ingredients they put in the food make you depressed, which is really good for the drug companies, because if you're depressed, you have to go to the drug companies to handle your depression. Interestingly enough, some of the food additives which are put in the food to make you depressed are manufactured by the same companies that sell you the antidepressant drug. It's fantastic money-making business, folks. Remember, it's all about the money. There is another reason why chemical additives and the processing of food are bad. Food must have a nutritional value for it to be used by the body, but food also has a vibration. Food actually has a measurable life force energy. When food is chemically altered or genetically altered or highly processed or contains chemical additives, the energetic vibration or life force energy of the food is dramatically altered. At the back of the book, make sure you read my article on the microwave food. Microwaving of the food radically changes the energetic structure of the food when the vibration of the food or life force energy of the food is radically altered by chemical additives, processing, or genetic engineering. Consuming and eating that food actually causes the body to go out of balance and causes diseases to develop. Yes, you are reading this right. From an energetic standpoint, eating a genetically altered apple that has been sprayed with pesticide actually can give you cancer, as well as a dozen of other diseases. Without giving a physics lesson, when you eat anything, you are getting the energy from that thing. How do we know this is true? Well, think about it. You take a pot and you put soil in it. You put in 10 pounds of soil and you put in one little tiny seed, and every day you add some water. And at the end of a year, you have this big plant. Well, take the plant out, shake off the soil from the roots and weigh the soil. Guess what? You still have 10 pounds of soil. The one thing you added was some water. If you were to measure the water, you may have added about 5 pounds of water. Theoretically, the plant should weigh no more than 5 pounds if it grabbed 100% of the water. But the plant weighs 50 pounds. Wow. What happened? How did 50 pounds of mass and matter magically appear? It didn't. It didn't eat the soil. The 10 pounds of the soil is still there, and there are only 5 pounds of water added. How did the plant appear out of virtually nothing? This is a very important point. Think about it again. The plant, like all living things, is virtually created out of energy. Energy is invisible matter. Human beings are the same. If you take a little baby and you weigh every bit of food that goes in and then subtract all the excretions that comes out through the urine, the stool, and sweating through the skin, you will see that whatever goes in comes out. If 10 pounds of food and water are put in it, guess what? 10 pounds of stuff comes out. But the little baby grows from 15 pounds to 50 pounds to 150 pounds. But if everything goes in, all the liquid and everything we eat comes out. How does this happen? Well, guess what? Science can't really give you an answer. The answer is that we get the energy from the food and from the sunlight and from the air. And that's how matter is manifested into energy. So if we go through everything that we put in our mouth, whatever we eat, whatever we drink, ask yourself, is it as nature intended? Or has it been screwed up by some greedy individual who doesn't care about your health? Who doesn't care if you get sick? Who doesn't care if you're depressed? Or if you get fat? The only thing that they care about is making money. Remember, it's always about the money. So what do we eat and drink? Well, ideally, you want to eat all natural things, fruits and vegetables, and get them organic. When you cook them, it destroys some of the living enzymes, so raw is better than cooked. Should you become a vegetarian? I don't know if you should become a vegetarian or not. Everyone is a little different. What works for one person may work slightly better or worse for someone else. I can tell you this, I believe that if you will add or increase the amount of raw fruits and vegetables in your diet, you'll be better off. Here's one other big problem. You have to read the ingredients, because if the food label says all natural, it's usually a big lie. Why? The food industry has lobbied the politicians to allow certain totally man-made ingredients to be classified as all natural. Keep in mind that there are over 15,000 ingredients that don't even have to be put on labels. So if you see something that says all natural, it just means that the government has allowed them to put that on so they can sell more of the food. Ideally, if it is in a box or a can, don't even eat it. Some people go into the health food stores and assumes that everything in the health food store is good for them. It is not. You have to read the labels, and ideally, if it's in a box or if it's in a bottle or a jar, don't consume it. Which lead me to restaurants. The big question is, what can I eat in a restaurant? The answer is nothing. You may say, well, I can't live like that. I know it's unrealistic for you to completely change what you have been doing in your whole life, but realistically, there is nothing in a restaurant that can be classified as safe. Yes, I eat at restaurants. Why? Because I'm not fanatical. And I'm not asking you to be fanatical. Now, I do know some people who are fanatical. They eat nothing but raw organic food, and these people are absolutely amazing physical specimens. However, I live in the real world, and so do you. Just do the best you can. Realistically, stay away from anything in fast food restaurants. They are categorically the worst.